what's up, everybody? How's it going? It's Seth. Welcome to the Insta Good Show, where we're helping you as your church getting Insta Good at Instagram. And today I'm bringing on my guest, Jonathan Mom, here in a minute. But first, I wanted to go through some of the great tips that we saw in a post that I put in the Facebook group just the other day about Instagram. I said, hit me with your best Instagram tip, something you've learned, and you guys did not disappoint, man. There's some good ones in here. So I want to read a few of these really quick and just kind of show what you guys are saying out there, and we might even discuss this a little bit. Sarah Sullivan said, be who you are, not who everyone else is trying to be, and then had other things to say after that. I won't read the whole thing, but that's a great tip. Be who you are on Instagram. Really a cool tip for churches. We're always trying to look at what other churches are doing and sometimes lose who we are in there. That's really great. Derek Hansen says, people, our consistently best posts are just of people. Great tip. Sadie Coltrane, engage with the community, share pictures of your local business around you in your Instagram stories. Like she says, like the bakery we got our staff dessert from, and show you want to support them. Great tip. That's really, really cool. Adam McLaughlin says, use hashtags and location tags. Also really helpful for being seen. Just a ton of great tips in here. Let's see if we can find a couple more. While we're doing this, I'd love for you guys to shout out in the comments just where you're watching from. Tell me something about your Instagram that you love at your church. I'd love to see what you've got going on there that's really, really, you think you're doing really well. Maybe even screenshot it, post it in the comments. Love to see that. A couple more of these tips. Use it to reach those outside your church community. Don't use Christian hashtags. Be local for impact. Yeah, and if you want to use your Instagram for that strategy, that's really a great tip, is using those hashtags that aren't necessarily Christianese hashtags like church or Jesus or things like that. Do have a lot of people, but maybe you want to be found by businesses, so you research those hashtags. I think that's a really great tip, is to be strategic about your hashtags. And then let's just do another. My friend Wes Gay always has great wisdom. He says, don't be weird. That's a good one too. Great tip. Don't be weird on Instagram. I know sometimes we can come off as weird, not knowing that we're being weird. So having a little self-awareness, very helpful. So, those are some great tips. Go into the group. You can search hashtag InstaGood and find that post and others for this show that you'll find these great tips. So today I want to bring on my guest, Jonathan Mom. Everybody, give it up. I want to hear some applause. Yay, Jonathan Mom. Hey, what's going on, man?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good, man. Thanks for being on the show, dude. It's really always a pleasure to talk to the great Jonathan Mom.
Hey, I had an Insta tip that was based on, I think, a conversation happening in church communications the other day.
Dude,
they were asking about the whole swipe up link thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, you have to have 10,000 followers.
Yes.
And I don't know, I was just realizing the reason they require you to have 10,000 followers is because if you got to 10,000 followers, it means you're posting really good content that's not just self-promotion. So they're willing to trust you with that.
Interesting.
Like, we're willing to trust you with self-promotion because you actually provide value to the community. So I was like, so the goal is to get to 10,000 by providing value.
There you go.
Anyways, I thought that was just it.
So the 10,000 member swipe up link is really an act of trust. Mm-hmm. Great tip.
Yes.
Great tip. I love that. It's an act of trust. Yeah, everybody.
We trust you that you're providing good quality content.
Yes, absolutely. And the more that you share, the more that you can gain those followers. And I know that you could go buy followers. You could.
No.
Should we do that though?
Okay. No.
Yeah, not just the link's not worth that, right? It's like the trouble that comes along with buying the followers. Well, Jonathan,
we're not playing Barbie. You don't have to buy your friends.
Right. Oh man. And, wow, I'm glad we're not playing Barbie, dude. I'm so tired of that. Anyway, so man, great to have you on the show. Always a good time. Recently I saw that you posted an article somewhere that, I think it was in Sunday U, that, you talked about 8 categories of content that you guys make at Sunday Social when you're thinking about, the done for you social media stuff that you guys create. That's so good. It's so really good. And Joe is an incredible designer, just one of the best. And, you guys, man, really put out great stuff. But I thought this article was fantastic because it really does help you think strategically about what kind of content. Like, design's one thing. That's a whole other deal. It's what kind of content is. Hey, Aaron King, what's up, man? Saying hello on Facebook. So thanks for watching, man. So this is an incredible breakdown for content. And I wanted you to come on and talk about it. So let's just go through these. I'll give you the list real quick up here at front. It's funny, beautiful, belonging, invitation, identity, solutions, interactive, special days. So that's your quick list. We're going to go through the whole thing. If you missed that, catch it in the replay, or just wait. Let's talk about funny posts though, because that's, I think, a huge problem for a lot of churches to come up with that. What's funny but not offensive? What's the line? Talk about funny posts. Like, how can we really leverage funny on church Instagram?
Sometimes funny for me is just being lighthearted and just being, more like fun instead of funny. Right. So someone was posting in one of the groups. They were asking about, like, we did a post for Sunday Social where it was like toilet paper over and under, and they got torn apart by their leadership team. Great. Because they were like, oh my man, this is so disrespectful. This is so inappropriate for our church. And whenever I went and looked at the church's page, I'm like, well, yeah, it is, because like the pastor is still wearing very like liturgical clothing. It's a very formal church, right? Yeah. Like, so that type of humor doesn't fit with, if your church is very formal and very formal in its approach, then humor is going to be something, there's like church humor and there's real humor, right? Like, have you noticed that, like, you'll like say something at church and everyone's like, oh, that's so funny. You'll say like, you'll say like crap and everyone's like, he almost cussed, like that's church, right? And then you can say the real word in the world and everyone's like, yeah, that's just a word, it's not even remotely funny, right? So like, I think there's an awareness of that. If you're a much more formal situation, then just breaking formality a little bit, maybe your opportunity for fun and humor. Right. If you're a bit more edgy, you can post some of the stuff that, gets a bit edgy. But yeah, just being fun and
and you have to know your audience. You have to know your place.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that we try to do a lot is just create like modern versions of the Bible stories, and I've gotten a little bit edgy with that too. Like, the whole like, I did one where it was like before David cleared his search history, and it was like, who's that girl on the roof? Yep. Bathsheba, how to betray your friend, stuff like that. So like, that's a little bit edgy, but you can do things in a little bit more lighthearted way.
It's funny
kind of, though. Reflect what's going on.
It is funny. It's like if you share it among friends, funny, but as the church, you got to know you got to really know where you stand with, not only where you stand as a church with your community, but where do you stand as a person doing social media with the rest of your staff? When you get those emails that come in and go, I can't believe they did that. Are you going to be protected or are you not going to be? You kind of need to know what the situation is. But I think dad humor works really well.
Yeah. Well, it's tempting to see, you see Wendy's, you see Slim Jim, these companies that like go pretty edgy with their humor, and you're like, oh, that is the pinnacle. That's what we need to be. And we can't always, depending on your church context, you can't. And so you make the best within your limitations. And I think you can find a really unique voice if you abide by that.
And I think when you're trying to be funny too, just for the sake of being funny, you open yourself up to some real criticism. If you can find a way to be funny, like use a meme, but about an event or something that happened or something the pastor said that you kind of use a GIF or a meme, whatever to bring it to something of substance. I think a lot of us just have gotten into these engagement posts and to, funny stuff, and that's lighthearted, and the tone might be okay if it were about something of substance. So if it seems like we're just kind of wasting time, that I think people will then just judge it on whether or not it's funny and not this was helpful.
Yeah. Listen, if your goal is engagement, start a meme account. Like, that's not what we're doing at the church. We're not trying, engagement is not our goal necessarily. Right. We want engagement, but it's not our goal.
Yeah. I think that's great. All right. Well, funny is the first one. Let's do the second one. Beautiful. All right. So beautiful is a great one for Instagram, especially. What do you mean when you say beautiful posts?
Yeah. So, when we were trying to decide what content we were creating at Sunday Social, it was very content-based, but I think it's important you remember that Instagram started and is still a beauty-based platform.
Yes.
Where the things that make you stop scrolling are beautiful photos, beautiful graphics, Joe Cavazos, my business partner, our designer, he has, I don't know, like 50,000 followers or some crazy number, maybe 200,000. I don't know. It's a bunch of followers. And he posts his graphics that he creates, right? Like, because beauty is primarily the content that's consumed. It's switched to kind of beauty and memes are the majority of things. Or then celebrities, and you just want to follow their life, the life that you want to live, right? But beauty is still the dominant form of Instagram. And, of course, there's like the exception because, they're saying right now Generation Z is about being unpolished and is about being like not so filtered. And there's a way to be beautiful without being fake, right? And I think that's the thing that people don't want is the fake.
And what we don't want to be is ugly. I mean, it's like, unless your point is to be disruptive in some sort, to stop a scroll like once or twice, that's one thing. But like just not caring about it is not okay.
But and you make a good point too. You said even stopping the scroll once or twice is, we know this as church communicators. If everything is loud, nothing is loud. Nothing is heard, right? Yeah. And so what you do is you very intentionally make something loud. You don't make everything loud. Yeah. And I think the temptation is on social media is every post has to be that million likes and comments, and it has to be the most epic. And if you do that, it's gonna run thin. Even on TikTok, I'm exploring with TikTok, trying to research on that. Like, most of my posts don't get 4.8 million views. A couple have. Pretty proud of that. But the majority of them don't. And that's okay, because I'm experimenting, I'm learning, I'm trying new things. I can't try the same thing over and over and over again and get good results.
Right. You have to be creative. You have to be constantly figuring it out. And I think that when you talk about the beautiful post, in the church world, there's things that constitute beauty that don't necessarily have to be from, like, a scripture is beautiful. A poem is beautiful. There's more than just how it looks, but it has to look in a certain way that makes you want to engage with it. There's content, and then there's how it looks. And so those two things working together really contribute to that beautiful thing. And I think, obviously you guys do that really well. But probably what I mean by beauty is not necessarily like well designed, because professionally designed thing, that's not beautiful. That's just pleasing to look at, right? I'm saying something that kind of like takes your breath away, and that's where we'll resource designers like Dustin Cooper. You're like, what? It's very surreal, or it's very like, it just kind of grabs your eye, and you're like, what's going on there? Like, you're just drawn in, right? That's what I mean by beautiful, not well designed, because hopefully you should be well designed. Everything should be well designed. Well, it's like inspiring. It's almost like it's inspiring. It like causes an emotional feeling, and that's how I always kind of think of those types of posts, is like beautiful, yes, inspiring. Like, it's got to grab you. It's just got to grab you for
visually inspiring.
Yes,
beautiful,
visually inspiring. There you go. That's great. All right, the next one is belonging. That's an interesting one. Yeah, talk about belonging posts.
Well, so we actually got the whole belonging, identity, and solutions was actually from a post posted by Switch, by Life Church's, I think, student ministry. And they posted this thing. They were doing this training with their team. Joe Cavazos saw it, and he's like, dude, this is a good idea for the content of posts that we create. So we borrowed that and then added our own to it. Cool. But belonging, it's showing that people are belonging to something bigger than themselves. Because, again, when ministry is operating best is when ministry is speaking to real needs that people are dealing with, right? Like, a lot of churches like to talk deep level theology, and there's value in that. But for the majority of people, that doesn't speak to something I'm worried about. I don't really care if God loves everyone. I care if God loves me, right? I don't really care if, I do maybe care if I can lose my salvation, but not as much as, am I even saved? Like, right? Like, that's the real.
You're talking about like top of mind issues in theology are not often what we're talking about in theology. We go into these deeper issues that are more controversial, difficult, where a lot of people don't have like that depth yet, or know that they should care about that, and kind of are thinking like, oh, how does this apply to my marriage? That kind of lighter. I know I care about that. I have my theories about it and stuff, but at the same time, I'm like, it's not what I'm dealing with on my everyday life. So if I see a post, and is social really the place to get good conversation about that anyway? So you get 2 sentences at most, maybe. But so belonging, do I belong to something? Reinforcing that identity, but the idea that I belong to the church, I belong to God, I belong to something that's important. So posts that reinforce that are things that I think are really powerful. So one of the ways we do that too is like a collective prayer. It's something we can pray together to say like, hey, we are all praying this
to almost give them a mission that they're a part of for the day, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's a fun way to do that.
Awesome. Belonging is super important. And if your church is really doing, it needs to be a kind of a top-down strategy of belonging anyway. You know, it kind of, you can borrow ideas for content, even from your connections team, and how you make people feel welcome. And, you know, and types of posts like that are the ones that maybe encourage sharing, that encourage inviting, that, you know, as well.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's a really great. Let's talk about invitation, which is the inviting part. It kind of leads into that. Invitation posts. What do you mean by that?
Yeah. And so, you know, I mean, I think a lot of people say like 1 out of every 5 or 1 out of every 8 should be a promotion at most. I don't even go for that. Like, I mean, there are opportunities like, hey, if you're having a baptism event, it's something that's kind of important, invite someone to it. But that's invitation is just, hey, reminding them that Sunday exists, reminding them that like, hey, invite your friend, reminding them to, reminding them communion's coming up, special things that you can point out.
Yeah.
You know, just doing that. One church, what they do, I don't know if it's Boo Church or someone does this, and I thought this was interesting. We've been talking about stuff like this with Sunday Social a little bit, is they post their service times on every Saturday night on their Instagram, but then they archive them. So it's almost like a story in that sense, where it shows up on the feed because it's very important.
Yeah.
And then it goes away. And I'm like, that's actually maybe a good way to do
it's like
Instagram ads.
That's like teaching. You're kind of using then the feed like stories in that sense.
A little bit, knowing that like, hey, you're going to post about this community outreach thing that 3 days from now is not going to be a thing.
Yeah.
And so you archive it. You can post that. You can do that. I mean, I do that with TikTok, where like I'll post a video and like, oh, that didn't get engagement, and I archive it. I highly curate my TikTok account.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why aren't people highly curating their Instagram account, where you can delete stuff? That thing that's no longer relevant, archive that.
Yep.
And
that's
so
a good
I'm
practice
not saying
when you do events too. You know, that's just a good
and
practice.
You should
anyway.
still limit. You still should probably do 1 out of 5 as your announcement, stuff like that. But archive those. And I think that's a fun way to do that.
Yeah. And one of the things that really, I think with this kind of post is to focus not on telling your people when stuff is, but giving people something to share with others that they may want to talk about. And it's like, don't tell them about the event, talk about it in a way that's like, makes you want to go, you know, like that kind of post, something that is more than just your graphic, you know?
Yeah, there's kind of 2 feelings that I have for this. Is first of all is FOMO over promo, which is one of my favorite sayings. I think great. I created that. I don't know,
man.
But make people point something out that like, man, I don't want to miss this. Not that like you're promoting it, but then like this is going to happen, and you don't have to say don't miss it. You have to tell something. Hey, we're bringing in food trucks, which is not that big of a deal, by the way. But you know, something like, hey, you know, we have a guest speaker. Not that big of a deal. But if we have something like, I mean, I'm trying to think of something that really makes people fear of missing out. Like if you're giving a custom item, this is one thing that Jason Jahng did at North Point, is they would have a team night and they would give out some piece of swag that was exclusive to that night. So it was kind of something like, there was a fear of missing out. Like, I'm not going to get that t-shirt. It's not available anywhere else. Mm-hmm. So that's a FOMO element versus promo. Hey, come to team night. Like, no, hey, we're giving away this shirt tonight. It won't be available elsewhere. That's FOMO. Yeah. So there's that element, but then there's also the vibes element where, you know, Abercrombie and Fitch, they don't sell clothes. They sell a feeling. Mm-hmm. They sell, if I wear these clothes, I'm going to feel like this. That's very manipulative, but I feel like in our church, we can do the same thing where, you know, showing people, again, photos like that suggestion from the beginning, showing photos of people having fun and enjoying themselves. That's a FOMO element. That's a vibe element. I get that vibe instead of I come and sit in an event. Yeah.
I'll tell you what I did once that is kind of in that vein, and we'll move on real quick. But one night we did this campaign to help our Saturday night services grow. And we did this whole thing like, you can only get Chick-fil-A on Saturday night. You can't get it on Sunday. And so we used Chick-fil-A as we like put out nuggets and all kinds of stuff. But I didn't want there to be like nuggets for all. You know, I wanted them to be at the front. I wanted to run out. I wanted you to have to be there early for it. And we took photos and pictures, put it on Instagram. We're like, loving the chicken, you know, Chick-fil-A nuggets, etc. And it created that like, oh man, we should have got there early. You know, oh man, we didn't go there because we didn't get those because that's Saturday night. Sunday, Chick-fil-A is closed. We can't do Chick-fil-A nuggets.
I've seen churches that get Chick-fil-A nuggets on Saturday and then they toast them up on Sunday morning as a way that like, hey, this is the only place you get Chick-fil-A on Sunday.
Oh, that's good too. That's good. It's all about how you talk about it. So, and that's very inviting. Like, oh man, yeah, I'll go do that. That's not the whole reason people make decisions about coming to church or what service they go to, but it sure does help.
Get people there. Yeah, you have a problem if that's what's getting people there.
Yeah, but it's nice to have that. It's just, it creates this, sense of, this what we were
FOMO versus
FOMO versus promo, and it feeds the next thing we're talking about, identity. Some in our church where I was at, it's like you kind of identify as we're Saturday night people, and we're Sunday morning people. You kind of have, this is my service, these are the people that go here, and it created that identity a little bit. So let's talk about identity. What kind of other posts will create identity?
Yeah, I would say their identity in Christ. I think there's simple reminders. We've actually been doing this whole little like reminder post where just like you have on your phone, where it's a reminder of. Yeah. So it's like a reminder, I'm a child of God. Reminder, I am fearfully and wonderfully made.
I love
simple things that just remind people who they are. Because again, when you're going through your day, you're dealing with stress. You're dealing with that coworker who said something mean to you. You're dealing with your kids who said they hate you. Like you're dealing with these things, and just a simple reminder to encourage people. That's the stuff people bookmark and they save and they go back to, or they share with their friend who's feeling, just not feeling great about themselves right now.
Yeah, that's
the stuff people share. So giving that as an opportunity to just encourage people during the week.
Yeah, I did a talk on it, and I used a study from some fancy place, but they said they were talking about the 5 most shareable types of content, and one of them was posts that give identity to your audience, so that they say, "Hey, here's something that my church shared that just represents me well and represents what I think well. Here, you need to see this so you'll understand either me, my church, or what this issue I care about." And that's why people share stuff. Is one of the reasons they really
share it because it's about them.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's really, if you'll notice everything that we're saying about that, it's about them and not about the church.
Yes.
And that's what we're suggesting people share. It's stuff that's about the reader, not about the sender.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, even it is difficult. It's kind of clunky to share things on Instagram. It can be done, in stories and tags and things like that. But even if you're not able to share easily and your people don't do that, it's highly more engaging to think that way with these types of posts. It's more meaningful, and it creates something, I think, out there in this identity. Man, you want to create a culture of a specific type at your church. These are the kind of posts, man, that really will do that. They kind of train people to think a certain way about not just what your issues are or whatever your church, but just your culture, your values, your vision. It really does reinforce that with these identity pieces. I think those are really, really big. That's really great. All right. Solutions. That's an interesting way of saying that.
Yeah.
Churches thinking of solution posts. Solutions for what?
Yeah. And again, this is the live church switch thing. The idea of what are people actually asking or actually needing help with? I mean, frankly, this would help your messages, right? But like thinking about, some of the posts that we've created are like how to bring practical ways to bring God into your family life. So if you're not used to talking about God at home, what are some ways you can start doing that without it feeling contrived or without it feeling, like manipulative? Right. So ways like that, or how to pray better prayers, or how to start a devotional time, or how to memorize a scripture verse. Little simple things like that can be profound for people. We started doing this with Sunday Social in general, as we've started creating posts on like, just carousel posts about like how do you do certain things?
That's great.
How do you craft good captions, things like that. And those have been huge for engagement for us. Especially we found carousel posts even better than video, even better than single posts. Carousel posts are killing it for us.
They are.
And we're very specific about the way we do them and stuff, but they're killing it for us.
Yeah. And you're talking about, man, the carousel posts are the ones I engage with the most. I mean, you spend more time on them naturally because you're swiping through what's happening. And it's such a great way. It's kind of like stories for the feed in a way too. You can swipe through and take them through a message, a journey of content. Like here, you mentioned like better ways to pray or better ways to interact with your family. So, swipe right for, better ways to interact with your families. Number
tip
1. Tip 2, tip 3. And they all look the same. It's not like you're reinventing a new design every time either. So it doesn't take as much time.
Yeah. We create them all as one massive wide thing. So there is some variety in between, but it flows.
Cool. Yeah.
And so each one looks different, but still feels cohesive. And one of the things that we found is that like it allows us to create long form content, almost like blog posts. It's still quite short, but it's almost like a blog post and a thing. And the reason we like it over video is I've been discovering lately on TikTok and on Instagram and on stories is it's becoming more and more this way, but it's been developing for a while, is people want to be in control of the speed of their content.
Yeah.
So people would much prefer probably to read the transcript of what we're doing right now, because then they can speed it up instead of having to wait for an hour to see what's coming through, right?
Yeah.
So people want to be in control of the speed of their content. So that's why I don't watch a 15-second video on a story, but I'll spend, a minute reading a carousel post because I'm in control of the speed. You're not controlling me.
Right. And you can stop,
which is
you
huge.
can pause, you can think, you can interact, you can digest what's happening, you can say nuh-uh or whatever you want to do, to whatever you're reading. I
can leave my scathing comment, like
and that's how you type. One finger at each hand.
yes.
Like a little
gonna show you.
Angry squirrel. All right. So interactive posts. Interactive posts are what?
Yeah. And we create these, and I'm not entirely bought into making these for Instagram. Really, where I found interactive posts do the best is on Facebook groups. Man, they kill it in Facebook groups because those are highly conversational groups. Instagram conversation doesn't happen that much. It does. It does. There's exceptions. There's exceptions to everything that I'm saying here. There's exception to everything. So if you have something wrong with me, show me your exception, and I'll agree with you, right? But on Facebook groups, they do well. On Facebook pages, not as well. Sometimes they do well. It depends on what your audience is like. Instagram, Facebook pages, not so great, but Facebook groups, phenomenal. So I highly recommend interactive posts. And again, Brady is fantastic at this, coming up with interactive posts, Brady Shear. But things that force people to make a decision, force people to have a strong opinion about something they didn't have a strong opinion about. Simple, like, hey, what's your story? People love to talk about themselves, so give people a chance to talk about themselves. Giving people like that. Now, I have a whole list of, like, do you want me to go through a list of the types of formats that we use? Or
sure. I think for Instagram, a lot of these are really good in stories as well. Like, you probably get you get better play on interactive posts in stories than you will your feed. That's my personal opinion or experience. But because, like you said, conversation's a little harder on Instagram. But let's give us some of those ideas.
Yeah, so here's kind of the list that I go through when I'm creating my content. So GIF response, ask people to post a GIF of their response. Take blank seconds to pray, thank someone, tag someone who makes you feel happy, pull multiple options or emoji responses. So like, hey, what do you what do you prefer of these 4 options? Or use an emoji to and I know you get blacklisted on that with Facebook a little bit, so be careful with that. But you can still do it if you do it well. This or that, do you prefer this or that? Apple or PC? Don't do that. It's overdone, but that's one that gets a lot of results still. Open-ended question. Hey, what was your experience with this? Do you need prayer? Let people message you. Man, direct messages, DMs are where so many brands are finding value now, is that personal connection. Man, so getting DMs is like, that's your goal.
Yeah, we're going to do a session on DMs here in a little bit.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Respond with an emoji, how you feel about Friday. Fill in the blank. I once was blank, now I'm blank. Let people tell their testimony. Hey, it's Monday. Just be excited about Monday. Trivia. Post some fascinating trivia about Christmas or Easter or something that happened at your church. Post trivia. Did you know? Ask someone to share their experience. Hey, what did you get from the message? What was your favorite song from Sunday? Do a giveaway. Give something away. Hey, we're giving away a free t-shirt for, whoever will pick a comment at random. Eliminate one item. You have 4 items. Hey, these would be 4 cereals. Which cereal would you cross out? What are your top 3 or 5 favorite blanks? Or what are the 3-5 worst blanks? Let autocomplete finish this sentence. Rank these from best to worst. Post a picture of, and then ask someone to post a picture of something, of your tree or of your view today.
Which what's you obviously can't do on Instagram feed because
a lot of these you can't do on Instagram. But again, Facebook groups. What's your restaurant order at Chipotle or at whatever is a popular restaurant, Chick-fil-A? Summarize your day, summarize a story, summarize whatever in 3 words or in an emoji, or so you can be like, hey, summarize the Bible in 5 emojis, and just like let people be creative. Again, that's making them the star that makes them creative. Name 5 famous Calvins, or name them all the famous Calvins. Or
name all
things
of
like
them.
That.
There's 3.
All of them. No, there's quite a few actually. I was surprised.
Are there more than 3?
What something traumatized you as a kid? Like what movie traumatized you as a kid? One thing that's fun is telling a verse wrong, then crossing out the wrong thing and correcting it. What's the worst cereal? We have a few other here.
Man, you've got some arm's length of stuff in that.
Dude,
file.
I got to create a ton of content every month, man.
Yeah,
we make 90 posts a month. It's rough.
Yeah. So that's an incredible list. And obviously all those things, for Instagram specifically, great to have that probably in stories where you can get some DM responses. I like the one where, you ask them like, how did you come to our church, or why did you choose our church, or why, how did you meet Jesus, and then people will DM you that before they really make that public, probably.
Yeah.
And then you've got a collection of testimonials that you can then stick on your website. You can put other places with their permission. So you can use the interactive part of Instagram, I think, to do specific things. It's like if you want to
one of our subscribers, one of our subscribers, Lee, he kind of tying back to one of these suggestions from the beginning. Well, he uses his Instagram. His church is maybe 100 people, but they highly engage with the community. Mm-hmm. They follow people, they comment on community events and stuff like that. And then they use their stories and they ask questions like that. Like, why do we worship God? Or why are you a Christian? Or if you're not, why not? And then he encourages people to direct message. And then that's like a ministry for him, is actually direct messaging people from the community who maybe aren't Christians, and they'll tell them why they're not a Christian. And you can pray with them, and you can and he uses that as a ministry. I'm like, holy cow, that's amazing. Like that's
front lines, man.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Wow. Well, we got one more content type that you guys do, and it is special days. I think that's kind of evident what that is, but holidays, things like that you guys are posting. So talk about special days a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, just acknowledge something special. And you have those National Day or International Day of
Donut Day.
And sometimes it's just fun to acknowledge those. Yeah, Donut Day. So do something fun about those days. And the cool thing about the special day is you can connect that with Solution. You can connect that with Interactive. You can connect that with any of those. But a lot of these, especially for me, when I'm creating 102, more than that, a lot of posts, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes I got to create some content that I think people will use, right? Like that's where I'm at. Like it's tough. And so sometimes I just like, hey, acknowledging the day. If you feel like you don't have something to post, just give yourself some buffer there by acknowledging the day and having fun with it. Mm-hmm. It just gives you a topic to talk about. The same reason that pastors do sermon series is that so I know what I'm going to be talking about for the 4 weeks. I actually have content, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just kind of one of the 8 ones. And what we do is we spread these out. The special days, obviously, we only do those as they come. But I try to do about 12.5% on each one of these because there's 8 of them. So
right.
I try to split it up pretty evenly.
For those special days, one idea that maybe people can take away and use is like if you've got a donut day, for instance, or whatever, find a local business that gets in your church and post a story about them, hashtag National Donut Day, and develop that shout out relationship that you're supporting your people. It's about your church. And then when people are like, hey, what does this have to do with our church? Like, oh, well, they're in our church and they're in our community. We're connecting with them. It's a way to connect. And, at the end of the day, what's wrong with spreading some goodwill through your church's social media to the community? There's nothing wrong with that. And that's a good enough answer.
Ask people to tag their favorite donut shop or tag their favorite taco shop.
Right. I mean,
because then that's just exponential.
Yeah. I mean, one of the great posts, of like Facebook groups and stuff too, is like, where do you like to go eat after church? Where are you at right now? You went out to eat after church, tag it. And, these businesses are getting tagged in this one post from this church going, oh, that's cool. It's free advertising. But it's just cool to talk to them about that because it creates that culture with your community and your church, and it develops a relationship. Anything.
Well, and everyone likes to be the expert at something, right? Mm-hmm. So like what you're essentially doing is when you ask those kind of questions, you're saying, we believe you're the expert about food or about coffee or about tacos or about donuts. Yeah. Tell us your expertise. People love to share their expertise.
Right.
So giving them a platform for that is fantastic.
Yeah, I think that's great. And, these obviously have a purpose that connects back to a mission. If you don't know what that is, I mean, you still do these, but like, I hope that you have an understanding, like if you're posting this kind of stuff on your church Instagram, that you understand that there's a reason for this. It's not just to game the algorithm for the next post. I'm not even sure how much that even does anymore with so much out there, but it's got to have some kind of purpose. Like we're interacting with our people. We're trying to create a culture. Mm-hmm. We're trying to humanize our church. Something goes into those types of posts. It can't just be, we want people to like and share it. It's like, great.
And the purpose is not because you're supposed to post every day.
Yes. Also another thing, like post quality, not quantity. I mean, it's just getting to be so saturated even on Instagram that you have to think strategically about everything that you're posting and why you're doing it. Does it fit into who we are as a church? Why are we doing this? What is our goal? And so I think if you don't agree with or like how we worded some of these things, fine. But I think if you're running Instagram, you ought to have some categories that you're dreaming up. What kind of content are we posting? Because it does give you some focus, and it gives you a reason to do it, and it kind of brings some strategy to the table. And I think that many of us are just trying to post stuff. Like even people that subscribe to you, they're like, what can I post today? What can I post today? It's like, go through that database and go, what do we want to do? Like, here's because you're thinking about it. We should think about it. It's use it to the maximum capability for Instagram. And so I think it's great that you're thinking that way. So John, it's incredible, man. Thank you so much for all this. Any last parting shot of wisdom for the audience about types of content?
No, I mean, I think you nailed it on the head of knowing why you're posting what you're posting. Because I think that is the thing. It's like, if you're just serving the dog, if you're just like feeding the dog, you're not going to be intentional with it. Posting something every day, you're not going to be intentional with it. So what are you actually trying to communicate? Hey, if you don't have anything to communicate, don't communicate. It'll make when you do have something to communicate. I remember I met this Norwegian dude, and he's like, I post maybe 3 times a year. But when I post, every one of my friends likes it because it's something that's valuable to my life. It's something that's important in my life, and they love it, right? So I would much rather be posting something that people like, wow, that really added value to my life, than just be something that people scroll past. Yeah.
And that's an extreme example for sure, but that's so true. It's like you need to post things of quality. Same way with Facebook, other ones, when it gets so crowded, there's just no way to show you everything that your followers or the people you're following are putting out. There's just no way to do it. And so they're going to do the most important stuff, the most likely to interact with, things you most likely care about. And if you're posting content that people care about, then they'll see it. They're more likely to see it.
How is this about me is the question.
Yeah.
Even on TikTok, funny videos, the ones that do best are the ones that, I relate to that. I totally know who the hot Cheeto girl is. You don't know who a hot Cheeto girl is. It's that mean girl in the back that eats hot Cheetos and says snarky comments, right? But like posts about that are doing, everyone's related with the hot Cheeto girl, right? Like everyone knows what the hot Cheeto girl says to them, right? So saying something that's about me, whenever you post, I want to know it's about me. So when you post as a church, how is it about the person that's reading it? Think of one person in your congregation. Are they going to get value from this? Do I want to say this to them? Is this what they need to hear today? Yes, post it.
Yeah, I think that's good advice. You think of that one person that really represents who you're trying to reach with Instagram in your church, and post to that person, and everybody else kind of falls in, and it kind of works. Yeah. So, man, we can talk about this all day, and I know that I would love to, and you would too, but we've got to go. So thank you again, man, for bringing so much wisdom to this space. Really appreciate what you guys do. And tell us about Sunday Social if somebody out there doesn't know.
Yeah, so we create social media graphics and a bunch of other content now that churches can use. Really, the goal is to make life easier. So again, the best quality content you're going to post is stuff from your church, pictures of people, stuff like that. But even some large churches around the U.S. use some of our graphics to fill in the gaps, to make things. We also have this new thing called season kits that is this ecosystem of style, and instead of doing like a new series every month, you get to do the season kit that lasts for 2 to 4 months. It really allows you to bring volunteer graphic designers on board and have the quality still be high. So I'm excited about season kits. We just launched it in November and are like crazy adding stuff to our library on that. But check it out. We're $9 a month for JPEGs and $19 a month for Photoshop files.
That's great.
Check it out.
And man, when I used you guys too, when I was a church communicator, I would get the PSD file, the Photoshop file, and take the design, change out some colors to match our grid or whatever we were trying to do, and it was just fantastic. So,
we try to design at 4K, and it prints out, I think, at like 12 inches wide at like high resolution. So we design really high resolution, so it's super flexible.
Yeah, it can be used for print, posters, etc. So awesome. Well, Jonathan, thank you so much. Always a pleasure, man. And everybody, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to the Instagood Show. Hopefully you feel a little bit better about Instagram, getting
a little gooder.
A little gooder. Let's do that. Hashtag a little gooder.
A little Instagooder.
A little Instagooder at Instagram. So thank you guys for watching. A little longer today than most, but I want to bring in and just get everything we can out of Jonathan when we got him. So thank you guys for paying attention and watching. We'll catch you guys later. See ya.